Hi there, Virgos, and welcome to your dream reading for the month of August. I'm going to be reading for you from the Tarot of Dreams guidebook. All right. So, basically, this is called the Story Spread, and this is designed especially for the Tarot of Dreams. The Story Spread encourages you to think of your life and your situation as a story. It also provides a method of investigating and challenging the stories told to us by our conscious minds. Often, our ultimate happiness depends on our willingness to constantly question these egocentric stories and see if they are really true, or if our ego is telling us something that only serves to cause us more stress. The first card position is called the story, and this card is a microism of the readings as a whole. The remaining cards are the rest of the story and serve to amplify and expand upon themes found in the first card. Position 1, the story. This card provides an overview of the chapter of the story that you are presently living. So at the center we have here the Nine of Coins. All right. So let's take a look here at the Nine of Coins. So, enjoying the results of hard work, creating a satisfying environment, peace, retreating into your own shell. Yeah, and the dove represents peace. That is the bird of peace. A young woman in her garden caresses a dove while another flies above. The flowers are heavy with blooms, and a trellis gateway shuts out the outer world. This card suggests that you have succeeded in creating an environment around yourself that is truly satisfying. You have worked hard and now you deserve to enjoy the results. The woman is alone, indicating that she has accomplished this feat on her own, relying on no one else. Doves traditionally symbolize peace, and when this card appears in a reading, it indicates you have attained the peace you sought. In a negative sense, you may be shutting the world out and retreating too much into your own shell. Venus and Virgo. A perfectly ordered environment, Virgo, contains its own beauty, Venus. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like Virgos, you're definitely in your environment, you're in your element, you're incorporating this Venus goddess energy, you're feeling good again, you're feeling beautiful, you're feeling amazing, you found peace and solace in the work that you do, and now you're enjoying the benefits of that. Okay. So let's take a look here at card number 2, the rest of the story. This is what you think. This card describes your conscious mind or ego, what it thinks about the story and what it thinks the story is in the final analysis. Okay. And we have here the star card. Okay. We have star card energy here. All right. So that's number 2. Number 2. Star. Okay. So let's take a look here at the star. So, calmness, a meditative state, quieting the mind so that one may gain clarity, hope, seeing the new appropriate step. Okay, yeah, that's really good to have right now, I feel like, for you. After the frying pan of the devil and the fire of the tower, the fool at this point surely deserves some comfort, and in the star he gets it. In this gentle, serene picture, a nude woman pours water from 2 pitchers. In the traditional image, water flows from one pitcher into a stream, and from another pitcher onto the land on which the woman kneels. On the Tarot of Dreams card, the woman instead hovers over a boundless body of water, and rainbow streams emerge from her pitchers. One can glean much about this card by simply immersing oneself in it. Imagine yourself floating at the night under a starry sky above the ocean. Before you, a beautiful woman gradually comes into view. Stars sparkle like fireflies around her, on her forehead, and in her hair. The waves are calm, and the rainbow streams converge to form a shining star. How does this picture make you feel? This card, more than any other in the deck, has a quality of timelessness that serves to quiet the mind. It could suggest a meditative state or simply the peaceful feeling that comes after a huge upheaval, such as that pictured on the previous card, the Tower. The cool, crisp air, the starlight, and the transparent pictures suggest clarity and clear-headedness. These are crucial concepts because it's important to understand that the atmosphere evoked by the star isn't one of fantasy or escapism, but rather a cool-headed alertness and aliveness. If you've ever meditated, you know that after you're done, your mind feels calm, at rest, yet clear with your perceptions sharpened. For at least a little while, your mind has shed its grandiose daydreams, as well as irrational fears and insecurities, but instead is able to look at life as it truly is. This kind of clear perception is necessary for the meaning that most readers give this card, which is hope. The kind of hope addressed on this card is a realistic hope, where your calm state of mind and your clear vision are able to discern possibilities available to you, but realistic. Okay? Doesn't mean we should only hope for small things. If your hope is to become a rock star, this might be a very realistic goal indeed, if you have the talent, temperament, and self-discipline for it. The star card encourages you to take the next logical step toward your goals. This inspiration is often felt as a kind of grace, as if we had been touched by an angel's feather, or by a rainbow stream from a star woman's picture. The Hebrew letter Tzadi means fishhook. An angler must maintain a quiet demeanor while he casts his line, so he doesn't scare away the fish. Aquarius is the sign of unconventional thinking, which enables you to perceive options and opportunities not usually discernible. Yeah, and I don't know if any of you have ever seen the show. I like fashion shows like Project Runway. Okay, Heidi just came back for this latest season, which is awesome. America's Next Top Model with Tyra Banks. That's another famous fashion show, like with modeling and stuff like that. But there's also this other show I just watched a couple episodes the other day, and it's Wear Whatever the F You Want. And there used to be another show years ago that was What Not to Wear, and then now it's like back as Wear Whatever the F You Want. And it's such a cool, amazing show. And it's like there was this one guy who came on the show, and he wanted to like express his inner rock star. He wasn't a rock star, but he wanted. That's how he inside he felt, and he wanted to express that through fashion. And I think that's like kind of what this star energy is telling you to do. Okay, Virgo. It's saying like you might not be an actual rock star, okay, but you can still tap into that energy and that fashion sense, and you can show that through your design of fashion and choice of outfits. So I think you're doing that by design. Also, there was another person on the show, and she was a mom of three, and she was so used to like wearing like on the go mom clothes, like leggings and t-shirts or jeans and t-shirts type thing, right? And she wanted to like express herself, like she wanted to do like a more girly girl look, but like make it classic and chic, with like a Paris Hilton vibe to it, aesthetic to it. And so she was able to transform her wardrobe and her look into that as well. So it's like, it's interesting how, even I'm a mom, so I can relate to this woman, and I love Paris Hilton style, so I can relate to that. And it's interesting because it's like there's so many, like a rainbow, there's so many different aesthetics, there's so many different fashion styles. You don't have to actually be Paris Hilton to dress like Paris Hilton. You don't have to actually be a rock star to dress like a rock star. And I think that's where like the imagination and the creativity of the star energy comes through. And also Touched by an Angel. I keep thinking of this show that I watched when I was a little girl called Touched by an Angel. And there was this character, Monica, and there was this character, Tess. And then I think there was the Angel of Death, which was, I think his name was like David or something. Anyways, but Monica, I loved her like energy and her presence. It was always very calming for me. And I didn't fully understand like the context of the stories because I was a little girl. So I didn't really understand the seriousness and depth as I do now. But there was such a calming presence and energy about these characters, Monica and Tess. And Monica was kind of more of the new angel that was a little bit more naive and still trying to figure things out. And Tess was the older, more mature woman, and she was kind of explaining how things worked to Monica. And it was just this whole like dynamic where I feel like you're seeing your future self. Your future self is seeing you, and it's trying to encourage you. Like you don't need to like hide who you are anymore. Okay, Virgo, you can shine bright like a diamond, like the Rihanna song. Shine bright like a diamond. All right, let's go. So yeah. Anyways, so I don't know where I'm going with this, but let's figure out what the next card is. Maybe that will help. All right, so position 3, what you get. This describes the physical circumstances in which you will find yourself if your story continues on its present path. Okay, and we have here the Judgment card. Judgment. Yeah, maybe you're afraid of being judged differently if you look differently or you dress differently or you start to be the main character of your own life. feel like you have this major main character energy, okay, Virgos, but you're like holding back a little bit. So, yeah, and you know what? That could be because you see other people doing what you're doing or done what you're trying to do or trying to accomplish. And it's scary because you're like, well, how do I get there? You know what I'm saying? Like, it seems almost impossible, but the stars reminding you like nothing's impossible. You have to have hope. Remember that. And okay, yeah. All right. So judgment. So the gaining of a higher or wider perspective, seeing oneself as part of a larger whole rather than as an isolated individual, heeding a call to follow a path or take an action. The fool might reasonably have thought that his voyage through the tarot trumps had ended upon attaining new awareness and confidence in the sun. Okay, but there are two more cards to go. The deeper and stronger consciousness must now be brought in to encompass more than simply individual concerns. Simply put, the judgment card shows the fool's awareness undergoing this broadening process. And in the world card, the fool abides in the boundless enlightenment that results. Traditionally, decks show an angel blowing a trumpet while resurrected corpses emerge from their coffins, a scene right out of Christian iconology. This refers to the resurrection and last judgment, when the souls of the dead will be reunited with their physical bodies prior to receiving their final disposition in heaven or hell. In the Tarot of Dreams card, we see an angel, but here she represents the fool's inner self. Um, So, receiving their final disposition into heaven or hell. In the Tarot of Dreams card, we see an angel. Okay, up here is the angel, but here she represents the fool's inner self, who is, after all, only a part of the awareness or motivating forces of the universe. On the Judgment card, the angel calls on us to widen our perspective and to awaken to our existence as part of all that is. We are called upon to identify ourselves with the universe as a whole rather than as a solitary ego. On the card, the angel stares at us expectantly, while infinite wisdom and patience. Beneath her, two golden men hold up a golden hoop, through which we see the progressive stages of a woman's ascension. On the judgment card, the circle is seen in its ultimate incarnation. Passing through, we finally cross the boundaries of our egos to join the world consciousness that awaits. The four female figures show a progression of awareness. At the lowest position, the woman floats with her intention directed downward. At the middle position, she feels herself being tugged upward and through the transformative hoop. Finally, she passes through the transformative circle, ready to face the purifying fire of the universal awareness. In the tarot, gender is often used as a symbol and can be instructive to consider the gender of the figures on each card, as long as we remember that those genders are meant to be thought of as a symbolic sense only and do not refer to anyone's actual gender. On the judgment card, the two male figures might signify the same kind of reason, order and intellectual harmony, that we saw on the sun card. This solar reason acts to channel the lunar subconscious energy of our inner selves, the female figures, in order to bring it into more cosmic awareness. Thus, what we see is essentially an energy diagram that shows a pleasing symbiosis between the yang or solar energy and the yin or lunar energy. Each needs the other. Neither can attain the goal without the other. In a reading, as with the other cards, we must often bring the cosmological or spiritual implications down to earth in order to relate them to current situation. The judgment card can simply refer to gaining a wider or higher perspective or heeding a call to follow a particular path to take a particular action. The Hebrew letter shin means tooth. As the shedding of baby teeth and the growing of adult teeth signals a new phase of maturity, so the judgment card initiates us into a new phase of awareness. Pluto is the planet of transformation and regeneration. And that's what's happening here, okay, Virgos? You're regenerating yourself. You've gone into like one avatar, like one body, like one image of yourself. You've had this image of yourself for so long that it's become like what's normal or what's to be expected. There's nothing else, right? But then I feel like once you put on your, like, your new teeth come in, right? You don't have baby teeth anymore, you got grown up teeth. Once you like hear yourself, remind yourself of like you are growing, you are learning, you're in a new stage now, you're in a new role now, okay? You're going to start to see yourself shine even brighter as you embrace it. And I think it's a little bit, it is a little bit scary, okay, Virgo, but it's something that you want. Even though it is scary, you still want it. You still want to go after it. And that's what you're doing here, okay? Um, okay, now we have what you feel. This card explores the emotional roots and foundations of your present circumstance. This is where you'll find hidden emotional motivations. Okay, and we have here the Five of Coins. So we have this elderly woman, and it looks like she's holding a baby very tight to her chest, and she's like has a cup out, like she's in the streets begging for money. So again, it's like this is not the most happiest, joyful energy, but here it is. So we're going to figure out what this means, why you're feeling this way. Maybe you feel like you're begging for I feel like you're begging for the respect that you deserve. Like in Virgos, you're not beggars. Like you're not validation seekers. Okay, you're not normally like that. You're not normally the kind of energy or sign that like begs for attention, or you're not needy. But, a woman who's like homeless in the streets holding a baby, I mean, she obviously needs help, okay? There's a difference between like someone who actually needs help and needs like the basic necessities of life, okay? I feel like I'm shouting at you, particularly Virgo. I'm not shouting at you, Virgo, but I'm saying this. I feel like this is your inner voice trying to come out. Like you're channeling this like need for like I just need the basic needs met, and you're being met with resistance, or you're finding yourself having to like beg for it, and you're like, wait a second, like Virgos don't beg, or I don't beg for that. Like why do I have to even do that? Like what? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like there's some energy shifting here. The tectonic plates are shifting, Virgos. You're about to have an earthquake up in here, okay? So I feel like a tower moment is brooding for you. So let's see here what you feel. Okay, so let's look at this Five of Coins. Um, yeah, because I feel like the Five Coins is always like the most depressing, or like one of the most depressing energies. And it's not to say like you don't deserve help. Like obviously, this woman is elderly; she needs help, and her baby needs help too. So, somebody did this poor woman a disservice. Okay, so Five of Coins, misfortune. Okay, going to extremes to protect loved ones, being let down by social institutions, a poor me frame of mind. Oh, yeah. How many of you Virgos know those types? Like the rich elitists that are like, oh, woe is me. Oh, my life is so hard. I need to go get another yacht. I need to go out to dinner again. But I can't help this poor woman and her child. Oh. Okay. Sorry. A woman dressed in rags stands outside a church in a driving snowstorm. In one arm, she holds a bundled up infant. Okay. With the other, she holds out a cup in which she begs for an alms. This is a complex card, which can have several interpretations. It could simply mean misfortune, no matter how well we may be at present. The possibility always exists that the wheel of fortune will turn and leave us disenfranchised. And the misfortune need not be physical. We could be dealing with emotional, mental, or creative misfortune. Okay, so maybe you're lacking that like that push to like get into your creative flow again. Okay, your mental flow, your emotions are being blocked here. It might not just be material. It could it could be. I feel like it's a lot. I feel like the reason this energy is coming through is because it's like all of these, to be honest. Like somebody is blocking you emotionally, they're not giving you the emotional support that you're looking for. Somebody is blocking you mentally, because those kind of go hand in hand, where someone isn't using logic and reasoning to come up with positive solutions that make sense. They're being illogical, irrational. And then the creative, I mean, if emotional and mental energies are already being blocked, then your creative energy is going to be a little bit like on the low. I feel like you're in a low energy vibration here, Virgo. But we're going to get you out of this funk because the star energy is calling to you. And that's where your heart is leading you to. And your nine of coins, okay? That's your value. That's your worth at the center of all of this. And you're questioning why don't these people around me see my value? Why don't they see my energy as something to invest in? Or why am I not being treated equally or fairly? You know what I'm saying? So that's a great question. Okay, so we're gonna find out. On the other hand, we could see the image in a positive light. Oh, okay, see, we're turning around, making it positive. The woman is doing everything in her power to provide for her child, even if it means accepting assistance at the expense of her dignity. We might focus on the church widow. Here again, there are several possibilities. The card could be seen as an indictment of the church, or more generally of social institutions, which often fail to fulfill their mandate to help the disadvantaged. Or we could place the blame on the woman who begs for physical help yet refuses the spiritual assistance offered just a few steps away. In this case, the woman insists on seeing the glass as half empty rather than half full and cultivates a poor me frame of mind in order to garner sympathy from those around her. This interpretation implies that our success or failure in life can often be due more to our own attitudes than anything else. You will need to carefully examine the card in the context of the question and other cards in the spread to determine which meaning is the most appropriate. Mercury and Taurus. Your mind, Mercury, is placing too much emphasis on physical comforts or the lack thereof. Taurus. Yeah, so I think what's happening here, okay, Virgos, is that this could be another Virgo, even. This could be like three Virgos. I don't know. I'm thinking of like three Virgos. Okay. There could be even five Virgos. But I feel like there's this very strong energy where, you are doing the best you can and you are reaching out for support, and I feel like you're being met with hostility. I feel like you're being met with people who are like trying to say like they have so many more important things to do than focus on you. And I think that's an excuse, and I think that they don't recognize that by not helping you, they're doing a disservice to themselves. So that's on them, okay? But it's interesting because you would think like, okay, we're all Virgos, we all are going to get along with each other, we're all going to respect each other, but these Virgos just don't want to get along. They could be narcissists, they could be egotistical, they're just not seeing the bigger picture here, and they're telling you, oh, well, why don't you go ask this person for help, or this person, or this thing, and it's like, wait a second here, why are we even coming up with those ideas when there's one perfect, normally reasonable idea staring right in our faces? So I think they're just all shouting, woe is me, poor is me, and they're probably Virgos, okay? But you are like the only Virgo, okay? That's like, this is BS. Like, you're calling BS on this. Okay, so let's take a look here at what you deserve. So you are feeling like your circumstances are, unfortunate, but you are knowing deep down inside what you deserve. This card shows what you expect on an emotional level, okay? And we have here the Seven of Coins. Okay, Seven of Coins. All right, so let's take a look here at this Seven of Coins. So this is patience, evaluation, okay? Something you have nurtured can now grow on its own. This card is about the virtue of patience, i.e., waiting until the right moment before taking action. The woman in the picture has undergone the dynamic and exciting creative process shown in the previous coin cards and is now prepared to harvest the fruit of her labor, but is waiting until the perfect moment of ripeness. Often the proper timing can make all the difference in our endeavors. Yeah, exactly. If you're going to be met with resistance, like, what's the point of keep pushing at it? Like, I feel like at this point you're just like, it's not even worth it. It's not worth your time or energy. The card could also indicate that you have nurtured something and it has now grown to the point where it no longer requires your constant attention. Now you can sit back and watch it grow. Alternatively, the woman could be seen at a crossroads, evaluating the situation to determine where her next move will be. Will she pick the fruit Will she fertilize the tree? Will she cut the tree down and plant something else? She stares out of the card at us as if asking, what would you do? The woman's companion sits in her lap, eager to help harvest. Saturn in Taurus. Taurus wishes to immediately enjoy the sensual experience of eating the fruit, but Saturn cautions patience and self-discipline. Okay, so I think there's a little bit of like happening here is like you know that it's time to like eat the fruit and like enjoy like experiences here. Okay, for some of you these could be sensual experiences with a person that you're interested in. That there's also the need to be cautious here and have patience and self-discipline, because there's like I feel like sometimes it's good to like distract yourself from like what's going on over there, you know, like, okay, that path has come up with like roadblocks. So maybe now it's time to put my attention toward, you know, other more pleasurable things. Okay. So let's see here. We got, yeah, I think you deserve this. I think you deserve this break, like this mental break. Okay. Position 6, what you tell. This shows how you present yourself to others and how you express yourself. Okay. Um, and we have here the Emperor energy. Okay. I love it, Virgo. Okay. Emperor energy. So, yeah, or Empress. God, Goddess. Like, you got this. Okay. So, let's take a look here at the Emperor energy. Yeah, I mean, it's like when you have like a project or something you want to do and it's like being met with like resistance, it's like at that point you're just like, you know what? I'm going to fire your ass and I'm going to go hire someone who actually knows how to do this job. You know what I'm saying? So, or I'm just going to do it myself. You know, Virgo, like you're you're a hustler. Like you know the grind. You know how it is. So you're not going to just sit around waiting for someone else to fix your problems for you. You're going to fix them yourself. All right, so the Emperor energy here. This is about fatherhood and the fathering principle, authority, laws, and regulations, social and government institutions, social responsibility, tyranny. Yeah, I feel like there's like a father figure, like, or somebody who like titles himself as a father that is being more tyrannical than anything else. Um, that could be why you're being blocked from like feeling like totally like you can do what you need to do, like for your star energy to come through and your 9 of Coins energy to come through. Okay, but let's see here, because you can channel this Emperor energy yourself and not be like a tyrant or like an actual father, but like somebody who encompasses like good positive energy, that leads and follows laws and regulations. On the Emperor card, we see a dream city, complete with buildings, towers, and avenues lined with trees. Looming over the city is a powerful male figure who holds 2 scepters. All right. So each of these is topped with a glowing spiral, which shows us the object of his allegiance and also the ultimate source of his power, the regeneration power of life itself. We can also deduce this from the sun-like spheres atop the spirals and from the sunburst pattern on his breastplate. The Emperor is quite a solid-looking figure, yet at the same time he seems a bit unreal, almost as if he is being projected onto the night sky from the city below. Thus, he doesn't really represent one specific person as much as he does a concept. The Emperor is a graphic and archetypal representation of the civic functions of society. That's interesting, because the 5 of Coins is all about like, I feel like yeah. So yeah, basically, the Emperor is just like, this is my domain, right? This is my kingdom. But also there could be like the possibility that the Emperor could be like trying to control, right? Trying to like be the boss of you and your life and your decisions, okay? Um, so the Emperor is quite a solid looking figure, yet at the same time, he seems a bit unreal, almost as if he's being projected onto the night sky from the city below. Thus, he doesn't really represent one specific person as much as he does a concept. The Emperor is a graphic and archetypal representation of the civic functions of society. The Emperor asks us to examine the role of power in our lives. How effective are we dealing as we all must with institutions and powerful people. In what parts of our own lives are we exerting appropriate power, and in which areas are we abdicating our proper roles through a reluctance to use power? As we all know, power can be misused. The laws can be biased, institutions can be self serving, the army can engage in wars whose sole purpose is to increase the size of the army. In the end, a nation can be reduced to a barren wasteland if the emperor goes too far. Likewise, in our own lives, we can become tyrannical or dictatorial, or allow others to wield this power over us. On a deeper level, we must acknowledge that power is neither all good nor all evil, but is always a mixture of the two. The military action that protects the public also results in civilian casualties. To be a leader is to perpetually make judgments about who or what should benefit and who or what should be sacrificed. But a leader's role is not simply to increase the power of the powerful. He or she is also a steward for the powerless and vulnerable. As the Emperor of the Tariff Dreams holds out his scepter of power to us, he seems to be encouraging us to take hold of and use our own power, and to carefully consider the ramifications of that use. The Hebrew letter He means window. Just as a landscape appears more ordered and organized when seen through a window, so the Emperor sees the potential for organization and structure in all things. Astrology Aries. Aries is the sign of pioneers who venture into untamed territory in order to impose civilization and structure. Exactly. So you have like Columbus, right? You have Christopher Columbus who destroyed hundreds of thousands of lives of whole civilization. There's Columbus Day or whatever. But um, we have to just remember, I feel like Virgos, you just have to remember that you're not this tyrant villain that I feel like certain narratives have been constructed towards. Okay, I think that with great power comes great responsibility. So in other words, you are being the gift to have power over your own life, over your own domain. Okay, you're not trying to overtake other people's kingdoms or property or their lives. Okay, you're not a tyrant here, but you are familiar with what a tyrant looks like, somebody who is trying to impose their authority over you. Okay, and you're not about that life, Virgo. Okay, so you're at the center here saying, I choose peace, I choose love. That doesn't really scream, I'm a tyrant, I'm a dictator. But yet I feel like somebody somewhere wants to tell a different story about you because you go against their control and you go against their ways of trying to have power and control over you. So you're not going to play that game, and you do see through a window into your own life, and you see a window that gives you the opportunities to grow and learn and explore and try new things and be a pioneer in your career, a pioneer in your life, somebody who is different from all the rest. You go against the grain. And so yes, society may look down on you for things like that. There was probably a time, and I feel like there still is a time, where single moms were looked down on, or women who weren't married and had children were looked down on. Okay, but now it's that's not even a thing. But yet we still find ourselves with this powerful tyrant that still tries to control our choices and still tries to say, okay, this window is closed. You're not allowed to break free. You're not allowed to escape. You're not allowed to see the light of day, and that's not the case here for you. You're I'm going to be the ruler of my own life and my own decisions. And I feel like you do protect the vulnerable. You do defend those who cannot protect themselves. Like the older woman here protecting the infant. The infant doesn't have someone to protect it. So this woman is stepping in to protect it. And while it might cast a shadow on her, make her people overlook her, and say, well, shame on you. You should have just left that alone. You should have just made a different choice. It's no, I made this choice to protect what is vulnerable and precious to me. And that can often at times put you on the outside looking in through the window. But at the end of the day, it's like you can create and make your own windows. You can create and make your own doors, and you don't need to see through other people's windows. You don't need to see through other people's doors. You see through your own window. You see through your own door. You see your own perspective, and your voice will not be silenced, Virgo. So, yes. So, what we have here is what you tell. This shows how you present yourself to others and how you express yourselves. Actually, I think I just did that one. Let me make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that was the Emperor. What you tell, how you express yourself, your inner voice being expressed now as this Emperor energy. And of course, there's going to be people who come up against that, Virgo. I mean, just look at you. You're a goddess. You're a god. You're beautiful. You're amazing. But there's going to be, there's always going to be some resilience, but you still will not be silenced. Okay? So, anyways, moving on. Position 7, what you are, the parts of yourself that have been determined by the physical circumstances of your upbringing. Okay? And we have here the 6 of coins. Okay? Whoa, some major Libra energies, holding like a Libra pendant in his hand. Okay? So, and the scales. Yeah. Whoa. I feel like he's calling to you. He's like, here, justice. It's for you. Here's your justice. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. What you are. Let's see. Okay. You're a bringer of justice, I feel like. Okay. So, 6 of coins. Yeah. People don't like those that bring balance, right? Everyone is always in this self-serving sort of mentality, but yeah, you're not like about that, like Virgo. Okay, so we have charity, sharing, establishing balance, an unequal relationship in which one person gives and the other takes. Yeah, of course. This has always been a thing, okay, Virgo? It's like you're always giving, and then when you ask for something, all of a sudden you're the 5 of coins again. All of a sudden you're begging. I hate that, right? I hate that. I hate that shift, where it's like you're not begging, okay? You're just asking for what's fair and just. But then someone says, nope, sorry, that's begging. Like, why are you always being painted as the one who's like begging for something? Really? Like, come on now. That's Virgo, come on now. A richly dressed young man holds a set of scales in one hand and with the other hand offers the astrological glyph for Libra, also representing scales. This card means charity or an effort to reestablish fairness and equity in an unfair world. Or like equality too. In material endeavors, we often get caught up in the effort to acquire as much as possible. In the 6 of coins, we experience the pleasures of sharing what we have acquired. The evenly balanced scales show us the importance of balance and fairness in material matters. Do we have too much? Does someone else not have enough? The answer to these questions will differ for everyone, but this card encourages us to at least ask the questions. On an interpersonal level, this card might suggest an unequal relationship in which one person always gives and the other person always takes. Oh yeah, Virgos. Okay. While the man seems to be handing out equality with one hand, notice that the scales in his other hand are still unbalanced. Moon in Taurus. We all have a natural tendency, moon, which can be either encouraged or resisted according to our personalities, to express our maternal, compassionate, and protective instincts in a patient and tireless way, Taurus. Yeah, I feel like when you offer in a relationship, okay, Virgo, you're offering love here, you're offering hope here, you're offering kindness here, you're offering generosity, and you're offering your true, authentic self. The thing is that if you are trying to match up with an Emperor energy while you're already giving off your own Emperor energy, this is where somebody is like, sorry, no, only one person can be in charge here. Only one person can be the taker. The other person obviously has to be the giver. And I feel like this person is taking a lot from you. They're trying to pose as the 5 of coins when they're not even in a 5 of coins situation. And then when you have that actual energy occurring, they dismiss it as if it's nothing. So For instance, you could be trying to you could be just being yourself, shining your brightest, beautiful stars energy. And this other energy is like feeling very threatened by that. Because they're very deep down inside, they're very insecure. Okay. They're insecure. Yeah, very insecure. But that's just how they control things, by using their insecurities to make you feel bad whenever you're shining up, whenever you're showing up as your main character energy, okay? So you don't want to be with somebody that's insecure around you. You don't want to be with somebody who tries to make you feel insecure either. You want to be with somebody who actually appreciates what you bring to the relationship and sees the value in it, okay? And while you might not be bringing the exact same things, okay, you're still bringing a lot. So I think that's why, and you're putting your full heart into it. And that's what matters the most. I don't think this other person is putting their full heart into it. So that's probably why there's that imbalance. Happening. And also they're very judgmental, and not in the good way, like good judging, like fair judging. They're judging things so that they always have the upper hand and the control and the power over you. It's like a cycle happening. All right, yeah, I feel like when it came to your upbringing, you were really like told a lot of your life, like, this is what you are, like this is who you are. You have to always be the one like giving. Your purpose was to give, maybe like give toward men, like serve men, and like that taught you to like put your security and your needs on the sidelines, or in the back burner. But then once you got a glimpse at like actual reality, actual society, and all these other different perspectives came into view for you, like opening up your own windows and looking through and pulling back the shades, and like, or the blinds or whatever, pulling up the shades, I don't know. But like, you saw the future, you saw your future for yourself, you dreamed about it, you daydreamed about it, you envisioned it for yourself. And it wasn't serving anybody, it was serving yourself. And it was serving those that are in need. Like, that's your purpose, to help people, not that actually deserve it too. And I feel like you are so keen to understanding that and intuitive toward understanding that. So what you need here, this card shows what you feel you need to be happy at a physical level. In other words, what level of physical comfort or security you need, or what level of risk. Okay, and we have here the Justice card. Okay, so the scales and now Justice. Okay, so Justice. Justice here. The principle of fairness, being too judgmental, fighting for the disenfranchised or the dispossessed, lack of bias. Yeah, you definitely have a lack of bias here, but obviously, like, I feel like you were told, like, be seen, not heard. I'm getting in the Faith card, the Fool searches for a moral compass, a belief system about the nature of right and wrong that he can use in order to reach conclusions and make judgments about the things that happen in everyday life. In Justice, the Fool will use the belief system and the conclusions and judgments that flow from it in order to change the world around him and make it a better place for its inhabitants. In other words, he will take the concepts he learned in the Faith card and put them into action in Justice. The world is governed by belief in underlining fairness. That fairness can be established by a deity or organizing intelligence, or it might be up to humankind to provide whatever fairness there is in this world. Either way, fairness, equity, and justice become the overriding principles by which we live our lives. Without this energy, life would be reduced to pure savagery. In many ways, this card represents the essence of what it means to be human. The image shows an armored woman who floats in the sky and who seems to be half machine. Rather than holding a scale as in other decks in the Tarot of Dreams, she actually is the scale. As in other cards, devices or mechanisms signify mental activity. Thus, justice is seen as rational, intellectual force that sees itself in opposition to the intuitive or the instinctual. In matters of fairness or law, it is the rational side of our minds that must prevail. If we wish to avoid bias in our judgments, of course, if we take the concept to its extreme, we have overly cold judgments that lack any human considerations. In a reading, this card may indicate that someone is being too judgmental. The woman is armored because often in life we must fight to be treated fairly or to win fair treatment for the disenfranchised or dispossessed. Participants in our system of law must often fight to avoid being influenced by the powerful. She holds the two hands of her scale with complete equilibrium. The ideal of justice is that it be applied even handedly. Although this ideal is rarely achieved, it is still the ideal and a cause for hope. The most striking feature of this card is that the figure of justice is eyeless. Traditionally, justice wears a blindfold to indicate that she applies the laws without bias. The eyelessness of the Tarot of Dreams figure tells us that in this deck, the figure of justice is also committed to the concept that it has become a part of her, rather than merely a blindfold which she can take on and off at will. We know that this justice will judge us fairly and not be peeking out from beneath her blindfold to favor the rich or well-connected. It also reminds us that figures illustrating archetypal concepts need not be perfect physical specimens. Those who lack sight or hearing or who have other disabilities can serve as powerful representations of basic life energies just as effectively. In fact, this idea is in keeping with the whole point of the Justice card. Lamed means ox-goad. The doctrines of justice will remain purely the theoretical, without the means for some kind of discipline, the ox goad to enforce them. Astrology, Libra is a sign of the balanced, harmonious environment, which is the natural goal of the laws of justice. And so motive be. No. Yeah, but like basically you're like, you are justice, okay, there, Virgo. So you don't have to be Libra. You can have that energy in you. And I feel like that energy was instilled to you when you were very young because you saw a lot of misalignment. You saw a lot of unfairness. You saw a lot of misjudgments, like judgments being done to those who did not deserve to be judged. So you saw a lot of like hypocrites, okay? That was like my favorite word when I was a kid. But anyways, yeah. So basically, you have these like hypocrites that are trying to impose on you, Virgo, that you don't deserve justice, or you don't deserve validation, or because you don't say like bring in what so and so is bringing in, that you're not equally to be judged equally fairly. Like if somebody is richer than you, then they're better than you. So they're going to be, if their bad decisions and their poor decisions are made, it doesn't matter. They're still treated like a god or an emperor. That's like a tyrannic, misguided conception of reality. But however that may be, that's still what's happening here. I'm getting the theme that like you're the one who's like fighting to show your voice, fighting for survival, and you're just like trying to get your light just to shine and just be your authentic self. You're not trying to take from others. You're not trying to be like give without any balance or anything like that. While yes, you were raised in a very misguided landscape here, you're still found the truth through it all, which is a very rare thing indeed. Okay, so let's see here. We have card number 9, position 9. What you expect. This shows what your conscious mind or ego expects for the future. And we have here the Tower. Yeah, I feel like lightning is gonna strike very soon. You're gonna like have your eyes wide open, like there. I feel like your eyes are already wide open, right? Like the blindfold is like you can still see even if people are trying to hide the truth from you. I think that's what the blindfold symbolizes here. Is like you don't need to actually literally see to know the truth here. And that's what some people's game is that they're playing the dangerous game. They want to see you constantly in this like survival mode where you constantly need to ask for their approval, seek their approval, and nothing you do will ever be good enough. So you're just decided to not even care anymore and have your Tower energy coming in, right? This is like what you expect to happen as a result. I feel like they're going to be met with like a lot of lightning bolts. A lot of lightning bolts are going. But that's because, they're not treating you right, Virgo. They're telling you that, like, you know, You don't deserve the basic things of life, the basic necessities of life. And you don't deserve fairness. You don't deserve to be treated with any fairness, Virgo. But it's like you've brought so much peace. You brought so much love. You brought so much hope into these. Maybe just one Virgo, maybe more Virgos, maybe one relationship. Maybe you're dealing with like a Libra that's saying you don't deserve justice or you don't deserve fairness, which is like contradictory. But we'll see here. So the Tower, a sudden revelation of the inadequacy of our thoughts, attitudes, assumptions, and worldviews, creative inspiration. See, remember in the beginning of this reading, you were like lacking that, right? You were like, oh, where am I going to get my creative spark again? Like, because these people are like trying to take any tiny little spark of like humanity away from you, your rights, your basic human rights, to basic necessities, to choose your own path, to choose your own life, your body, your choice. And these like men, mostly, misogynistic ass men, or even misogynistic women, because we know those types, are trying to steer you away from that and say, no, this is going to be your path. Your path is going to be to be quiet, shut up, and do as you're told. And you're like, yeah, I don't know about that. We'll see about that. So we have here a realization of a new way to solve a problem. Okay. Traditionally in the tarot, the Tower card allows always meant calamity. Okay, but it also allows you to deconstruct something and then recreate something. So you have to tear something down in order to rebuild. I feel like that's what's happening here. So this interpretation is confirmed by the usual image of two people falling headfirst through the air from a lightning blasted tower. In the Tarot of Dreams, the hapless victims are absent, which is one indication that we need to take a deeper look at this dramatic card. Okay, yeah, we need to take a deeper look here. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna take a deeper look here. So, in the previous cards, machinery and architecture have been used to symbolize the complex structures created by our conscious minds, our egos. On this card, the tendency of these structures to feed on themselves and grow even more complicated is taken to its logical conclusion. A towering edifice looming over the landscape, dwarfing trees and other natural elements. Likewise, our minds often create even more intricate rationalizations that in the end entrap us quite as much as the devil does. With his desires and ambitions. Yeah, there was definitely a man here that was like, oh, these are my desires, these are my ambitions, so you better just like get with the program and not try to like upset what I've created here with your voice or with your opinions. Virgo, you're like, say what now, bitch? Like, I don't think so. On the largest dome, we can see a repeating heart-shaped design. These hearts symbolize both positive and negative emotions. We often distinguish between thoughts and emotions, but in actuality, many of our emotions are based on assumptions made by our intellect. The tower is built of gold, symbolizing how materialistic and exquisitive our conscious minds are. The tower seems secure, just as our thoughts and our attitudes seem rock solid to us. In fact, they may be built on very shaky assumptions indeed. Ooh, indeedy, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this person assumed like that you might disrupt like their way of life or what they built for themselves, but really you're just like, I'm not here to like destroy anything, or I'm not here to like upset anything here, or upset a balance here, or anything like that. I just can see that there's like some unfairness, some injustice, some hypocrisy happening, and I'm just pointing it out. Like, it's obvious. And obviously this person is like not happy about that. And nobody is going to be happy when you point out their flaws or their mistakes or like the fact that they're not being just and fair. Like, they're not going to like that. Okay, they're going to get defensive. Okay, but that's your role, Virgo. Here, it's like you wouldn't really be yourself or your truest self if you didn't point out that there's being some injustices that are happening. There's being something that is not meeting the balance of the universe. Okay, the universe is like, yeah, okay, and you're here to like balance that out. So, and that is what this card is really about. Okay, um, yeah, yeah, exactly. They are the result of years and years of qualification, which can only be penetrated by intense self-examination or by a flash of inspiration. And that's what you're doing is you're examining things, and you have a flash of inspiration, like out of this, like darkness, out of this hypocrisy, out of this five of coins energy, seeing somebody who is disadvantaged, who does deserve a fair chance, does deserve help, and you're seeing people being like, oh, look at that person asking for help, like, I don't know why I said it like that, but you know what I'm saying, like, they're like, ew, someone needs help, gross, those types. And it's like, whoa, wait a second, like, you're not supposed to, like, that's not, don't be doing that to other people, like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, so that's what this card is really about. Okay, a lightning flash of revelation in which the true nature of our thoughts, attitudes, and worldviews is seen for what it is, a poor construct of the mind based on faulty assumptions. The old interpretation of calamity is still valid because emotionally this kind of awakening can feel like quite the disaster as we watch our cherished assumptions, attitudes, and biases go up in flames. Another valid interpretation would be a flash of inspiration. This meaning fits well with the above interpretation because usually creative inspiration connotes something radically and excitingly different, as in the case of an artist who paints a scene in a way which no one has quite done before. Exactly. So I think there's like lack of mutual respect among artists, among like-minded individuals, where they have similarities in spirituality or interests, but then comes in a whole wave of energy that's like, oh, I'm the boss or I'm in charge. And it's like, no one is really like in charge or really the boss. It's more of like a mutual respect among artists. But there is that's lacking. Okay, another valid interpretation would be a flash of inspiration. This meaning fits well with the above interpretation. Okay, as in the case of an artist who paints a scene in a way which no one has quite done before. In this interpretation, as in the previous one, the status quo is ripped away in order to allow for a new perspective. And of course, inspiration needn't be only artistic. You may have a sudden realization of a new way to handle a problem at work or a difficulty in communicating with someone. In other words, the proverbial light bulb over the head. The shaft of sunlight which beams down across a card gives us cause for optimism and prefigures the major arcana card, Sun. Hebrew letter Peh means mouth. One function of a mouth is for speech. Speech and communication are some of the ways we get so tangled up in our own cleverness that we start to topple over like the Tower of Babel. Mars is the planet of rage, conflict, and war, which all serve to break down the status quo. Yeah, and I feel like, somebody I feel like raged war on you just for like putting yourself out there. And that's really like hostile, especially when you're like new to something and you're like starting out for the first time and you're like, you're feeling those like nervous energies of like, oh my gosh, I'm new to this. I don't really know what I'm supposed to say or do. And then somebody sees that vulnerability and they latch onto it and they try to extort you, or they try to make you feel like ashamed for even trying. They don't even acknowledge it, and it's like, that's come on now, that's childish, that's immature, like, and I feel like for you it's like tower moment for you. It's like, well, if that's the reaction I'm gonna get, then this is what's gonna happen. Okay, I'm gonna bring it all down little by little if I have to, right, Virgo? You're deconstructing it and then you're reconstructing a brand new tower, something that is filled with actual truth, with actual heart, with actual facts. Okay, and it's constructed in this way because some of these tools that are out there were being used against you as a way to say, like, well, you don't know how to use these tools the way I know how to, or the way I learned how to, or you didn't learn fast enough, or you didn't get on board with everybody in the first wave of creativity or whatever. And you're just like, I don't care if I got on that boat or not. I'm making my own goddamn shit. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like for you, it's like or tower, right? It's like you didn't help build a certain tower, and when you like knocked on that tower door or saw through that window into that tower, you were like, wow, that looks really cool and beautiful and fun, and wow, maybe that's a great place for me to go. And then you went there and you learned very quickly that they were old constructs, they were old methods, they were old ideals or principles that didn't align with you and what you were pioneering to do in the first place, which is build a tower that allows the disservice, the unsupported, the ones that are vulnerable, the ones that are at disadvantage. You are building a tower where they are welcome to be artists, where they are welcome to be loved, where they are welcomed to shine their light and be the main character of their own story. Because this other tower you were in or looking into was like, no, be quiet, be still, sit in the background, don't say anything, just no one wants to hear what you have to say. And this is my old construct, this is the old way of doing things. Well, guess what? Lightning, bye bye. Like, that's not about to happen. Sorry to break it to you. So yeah, Virgo, like, sometimes you have to like hold your cards close to your chest and just be like, yeah, okay, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But you know that you already hold the winning, you know, hand there. Okay. You were born into how to play your cards right. And you found yourself, and you found a deeper meaning and understanding of yourself, Virgo. And you're not going to play by the rules of men. Specifically, I'm talking to you misogynistic douches. Okay, you're not going to play to their rules and bend to their authority anymore, Virgo. So now you're stepping out into the world and you're fully embracing yourself and fully loving yourself and fully realizing, like, this is my potential. I already know my potential, and I'm not going to let anybody stop me or get in my way. And when those windows and doors open that try to make it seem like, oh, you're welcome here, of course you're invited here, and they really just want to take from you. It's just another excuse for them to gain control over you and power over you. And you got to be like, lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt, like Harry Potter, right? So you are the chosen one. All right, Virgos. Love and light always. Thank you so much for watching again. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, hit the thumbs up button, hit the notification bell, and thank you again so much for watching. Until next time, love and light always.